Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's March, and Devin Kropp and I here from Horse's Mouth to talk about your monthly marketing meeting. What are the kinds of things you should be thinking about and looking at in the month ahead and planning on into spring? Devin, of course, as the weather warms and the snow goes away, everybody thinks the first big thing. One of the big things in the spring is, of course, Tax Day, April 15th. There are other big things that happen before then, including St. Patrick's Day, Easter, Passover, but we're talking about the things that really hurt, and that is paying taxes. This month, we're really encouraging people to start thinking about that and thinking about your relationship with CPAs, your relationship with your clients around taxes. So first, let's talk a little bit about CPAs. Advisors are always trying to build relationships with CPAs. In a minute, we'll talk about an important thing relating to CPE credits and educating them, which isn't something you would be doing this time of the year. But we do want to be thinking about, showing them a little bit of love. So what are your thoughts? What do we got on tap here for that?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we always hear from advisors is, I want to support my CPAs during this busy time of year for them. And we've heard, case studies with many advisors over the years who do kind of different things, whether it's, sending a catered lunch to a CPA office. I think one advisor even sent like massage therapists for, kind of those chair massages to a CPA's office. So there's been a lot of creative ideas over the years on, how to kind of support CPAs and show them a little bit of extra love during this time of the year. Obviously, this year for many of us, we might not be able to do the events that we did for CPAs in the past. Some advisors would throw parties or do a little cocktail hour. That might not be feasible for you this year, depending on where you are. And so there are some, fun options you can still do to show CPAs that appreciation for all the hard work they're doing this year. So if there are CPAs that you have a good relationship with, or, a lot of your clients work with, you might want to consider some of these ideas. It could be as simple as, finding a local restaurant to that CPA, either sending them a gift card or even, ordering lunch for them to be delivered to their home or office, wherever they're working. That way you can kind of support a local restaurant and also, allow them to buy lunch on you one day. That's always a nice idea. Same idea with any sort of coffee shop in your area. Even a lot of wine and liquor stores will deliver, a bottle of wine or something like that. So those are some options you can really think about if you want to continue sending, a gift like that. There's also plenty of kind of gift basket companies out there. Harry and David is one that always sends really nice stuff that you can take a look at, and you can kind of customize them or pick certain products that you think that your CPA would enjoy. And that's just, a nice little gift you can send this time of year that makes a good impression and will make a CPA smile.
Definitely. And of course, one of the big changes to life and society, I think, that has transpired in the last year is that the whole delivery thing, food and liquor delivery. It always existed, but it's like, it's through the roof now. It's such a big thing. I have to say, I discovered by being on the receiving end, happily, that there is an app called Drizzly, or maybe it's a website and it's an app, I'm not sure, where you can go on there and you can find a nice bottle of wine or a bottle of liquor or whatever. The thing will be delivered right to your door. So that's pretty fantastic. I think doing some nice things for CPA during this period of time is a good idea. I recall when I first started in this business 22 years ago, one of the very first things I ever heard about relating to trying to develop a relationship with CPAs, and even back then, 22 years ago, it was, look, these guys cannot stand, all these advisors who are just constantly inviting them to lunch or dinner without having a deeper relationship. And really, the kinds of things we're recommending, you're sending this stuff, is that they're not people out of the clear blue. They're presumably people you already have a relationship with. But anyway, there was this one advisor who, in like May or June, threw an annual barbecue for all the CPAs in his area. It's kind of a, beer and barbecue kind of thing. And he just did it every single year. And it was a way, like, they were totally out of the busy period. And it was his, a CPA appreciation event. And he, gained, quite a reputation for it. And, presumably he kept doing it because he felt like it was also strengthening his ties to CPAs in the area. But what else is there? What else can we say about, what advisors should be doing and thinking about, this time of the year relating to their clients and planning? And, obviously you can't meet with CPAs right now. They're too busy. But what are your thoughts on that, Devin?
Yeah, I think this is a great time. Again, like you said, Sean, you don't want to be asking for a CPA for a meeting right now. It's just not going to go over well. But what you can be doing is you can be meeting with your clients one-on-one and reviewing, their tax return for this year and seeing if there are any opportunities that maybe were missed or something that you might want to plan for going into next year. And then, when things calm down a little bit for CPAs, maybe in May or June, you schedule that meeting where you can together review the client's portfolio or anything that you noticed, any planning decisions that you're considering for next year that might have any tax implications. I think that's one of the best ways to really form a relationship with the CPA is to work with them on something like this, because you're showing your expertise, you're being proactive about the client's tax situation, asking them for their input or, giving them a heads up that this might be coming. And that's, I think, a really great way to form a working relationship with different CPAs. So, for one, I think everyone right now should be thinking about meeting with their clients as they finish up their taxes for the year. And in that meeting, making sure you're asking your client who their CPA is, explaining to them, I think it would be really beneficial to you as the client if me and your CPA have a conversation, will you connect us, or is it okay if I reach out to them? Maybe you already know who they are. And that way you kind of seem like the team leader in this, group that's helping them plan financially and lower their tax bill, which is what all clients want. And then later, in the summer or the fall, you can find a time to meet with the CPA and kind of review everything that you saw looking at the tax plan or think what you're thinking about for next year for that client.
Yeah, so I think actually, April 15th or, late March, April, it really kicks off for the advisor the annual tax collection and analysis process as your clients do get their, they file their taxes, and then they become available for analysis by the advisor. We know people in our Savvy Tax Planning program, master members in the tax planning program, are using this is a very hot topic now. And I think that the whole industry has woken up to the fact that, hey, wait a second, we do give a tax advice in a way on a regular basis. And there are some good tools out there that will help us be efficient in doing that and working with clients, and that it is part of an annual ongoing process. I know we did a survey a few years ago where we saw that I think more than 80% of advisors, I think it was even close to 90%, obviously during their discovery meeting with a prospect, get a look at the taxes. I think it was around 75, 80% actually. And then we asked the question, do you think helping your clients, manage their tax liabilities is part of your job? And like 95% said yes. And then we asked, do you look at your clients, annual tax filing every year? And then it was only 30%. So it was like 70 or 80% look at it during the discovery, but only 30% looking at it as a regular part of their client service. And people in our Savvy Tax Planning program are definitely part of that 30%. And it really needs to be a lot higher for advisors who are, pulling down that AUM each year and emphasizing that they're, doing planning for their clients. The tax thing really needs to be a part of it. And so this time of the year really kind of begins anew the tax planning for your clients moving forward. So the other thing, Devin, is what about educational events? That's another topic that people should be thinking about.
I think this is actually the best way to form a good relationship with CPAs in your area, is to be able to educate them on topics and give them CE credit for attending that. We know, as Sean was saying earlier in this meeting here, that a lot of CPAs will say, I'm tired of advisors asking me to lunch, and I don't know anything about their business. I don't know anything about what they know. And one way to combat that is really to educate them on something and be seen as an educator and a thought leader on different topics. So now that we're in tax season, and we're starting to look at, the months after tax season when CPAs are less busy, I think now is a great time to think about putting on an educational series for CPAs through the summer and the fall. If you are a member of any Horse's Mouth Savvy program or a master member or advisor client, you have access to CPA presentations on various topics. We have, I think, 8 to 10 of them now. And these are approved by the National Board for Accountants for CE credit. So as long as you go through us and follow some guidelines, you can actually give CPAs an hour of CPE credit for attending that event. And it can be a webinar, it can be in person. We're approved both ways. And if you plan it out right and do a series, you could possibly be giving CPAs, 6 hours of credit over the year, which I think is a great way to really build that relationship. And you can talk about all different topics. We have Social Security, Medicare, IRAs, taxes. We have more, practice management ideas like LinkedIn and working on marketing, which is really popular among CPAs. We have cybersecurity, everything. So you could really put together a full schedule for the year, keeping in mind busy seasons that you might want to avoid, and really make an impression with CPAs in your area, whether, you invite CPAs from different offices, or we even have advisors who will work with one CPA firm and go in and do multiple presentations for them. I think it's a great way to, show CPAs what you know, how you can help them, and kind of prove your knowledge and your worth to them in that way.
Yeah, and of course, the great Ed Slott. I think you're quoting him in our notes. They love going to continuing ed seminars where they can get free credit. So that free
Yep.
CPE credit, it's definitely valuable to them. So, yeah, that's a good theme. It's a good theme, and start looking ahead and figuring out, all right, for 2021, what are you going to do relating to your cultivation of those strategic allies from the accounting world. Okay, so now we're going to move on to what we have on tap specifically for our advisor client programs. With our monthly marketing meeting, we start broad, we discuss things that are relevant to everybody, and then we start to narrow it in terms of the specific kinds of things that we're having people who work with us through Horse's Mouth, through the advisor client program, which Devin runs. So what do we got going for specific actions that they need to start putting into play in the month of March?
So we have two kind of communication touches that I think make a lot of sense for you to be preparing and sending out right now. The first is our spring quarterly postcard, and this covers all kind of the key financial deadlines and other dates that might be relevant to people. So you'll see it here up on the screen. It covers April, May, and June. This is something that you can customize with your information and your photo and your logo, and then, send out in the mail. And I feel like maybe we talked about this last time, but in case we didn't, direct mail and hard copy items are still hugely popular, and you should be sending them out to clients. We think because we're in this kind of virtual space that everything can be digital, but people really enjoy getting something in the mail, especially something like this, where they can put it on their refrigerator or on their desk and keep track of anything that, they might need to know, especially with April being tax month. I'm sure everyone knows April 15th, it's kind of baked into our minds, but it's good to, remind them of everything that happens on that day, right? It's not just filing your taxes. There's other deadlines there too. Then also has any other holidays I need to keep in mind. And you'll see too, it has different, themes for the month, and that follows our financial insight piece. So if you're sending out those article reprints as well, they'll see that all matches up, and it's just a nice piece. Again, reminds, clients or prospects what's coming up. If they say, what, I did have a question about my IRA contribution this year. Let me give my advisor a call. This is a great way just to keep all of that stuff top of mind. and have, clients reach out to you proactively about things that they want to discuss that might be coming up in the future. So we have one of these postcards for each quarter of the year. I think it's a nice thing to kind of send out and have these constantly going out. And I think clients like being reminded of all those different
Right.
deadlines and holidays.
Right. And of course, here we are in the beginning of March, and we're starting to think about and doing things that are going to be happening in the second quarter because we need that ramp up time to make it happen. I think it was somebody in our webinar coaching group who sent out the first quarter key planning and investment deadlines and was talking about how it triggered a phone call from a prospect he'd had on and off conversations with, and now they're like, they've got 2 meetings in the book for after April 15th when this person has his taxes completed. And I believe it's a $2 million account. And so by virtue of having dripped on this person, in essence, with the key planning and investment deadline, I think they also might have sent key financial data as well. The whole reason that we mentioned that you should do these things hard copy and get them out there is because people see them and it reminds them, hey, I do want to, it jogs people's, it nudges them or jogs something in their memory, gets them to take action in terms of like calling up the advisor and starting to discuss things. And we all know, that often leads to business. So that's good. Okay. Speaking of our tax cards and everything, Devin, I see we have another item to discuss regarding key changes to the 2017 tax laws.
Yeah, so we have a card that kind of covers the new rules from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which I know was passed a few years ago at this point, but a lot of these provisions are scheduled to sunset in 2025. And so not only is it important to be aware of the changes that were made, but it's important to be aware of what is reverting in the next 4 years and start thinking about that from a planning perspective for your clients. And, a lot of your clients and prospects probably are not as up to date on the changes that occurred as you are. So I think it's still important to be reminding them of key things like the standard deduction changes and all of that, because they're not, as into this information as you probably are. And so while you might think that everyone knows all this stuff, I think it's a good refresher each year to let them know that these changes were happened, because before that, I don't think there was major changes to the tax code like this in decades. And so, everyone's still kind of used to the old rules when they're not dealing with it on a daily basis. So this is just a nice reminder piece. You can customize it with your information, and you can send it out in the mail and also via PDF to your clients. Again, just reminding them, hey, it's tax season. These are some key things you might want to be thinking about for this year and next year too, just so you can think about your whole financial picture there. And in the toolkit that comes with this campaign, there are cover letters that you can send as well. So you can customize those, and it gives a little context to the piece. You're not just sending the card on its own.
Yep. Right. Good. Okay. And then excuse me, I'm actually tracking my time these days, and that timer goes off every 30 minutes so that I write down exactly what I'm doing, which was the same thing 30 minutes ago, getting ready for the live stream. So excuse the alarm, but I'm in the middle of a deep personal time management analysis, which I'm going to be recommending to everybody very soon. Keep you posted on that. But anyway, our last item is April is what? National Security Month, huh? What are you thinking about that, Deb?
National Social Security Month. Yeah. So I think whenever we build out our calendars for your communication touches and advisor client or for master members, we have rhyme and reason for why we're choosing certain pieces during each month. And so for April, it is actually National Social Security Month. So I think everyone should start thinking about how they might want to celebrate that with clients and prospects. Marketing around holidays like this is good because clients and prospects will see a lot of this in the news during that month. A lot of outlets will kind of capitalize on the fact that it's Social Security Month. So if you can come out with, a drip campaign of article reprints on that time, or even putting on a webinar or a presentation for your clients and prospects on Social Security, you kind of are able to leverage all the other conversation about Social Security happening in the media and in the world. And you're able to kind of connect back to that, and it will make a lot of sense to clients and prospects. And also they're going to be seeing a lot of this stuff in the news from various sources during the month of April. So you might as well get out there and make sure that they have the right information instead of information from someone who might not know as much as you. So you be the educator here, you can be the thought leader by either sending out a different article reprint each week, putting on the event, doing both of those things, sending out kind of fun facts about Social Security. There's a lot you can do to have really meaningful communication during April and really capitalize on all the marketing around Social Security that's going to be happening.
Right. And so that tees up the opportunity for me to say again that the Social Security trend, the level of interest in Social Security is greater now than ever before. And don't think for a moment that just because, the other firm across town has been doing Social Security events or emphasizing the topic for a long time, that you shouldn't also. And the reason for that is very simple. There is a massive spike in baby boomers. And, when we kicked off our Savvy Social Security program back in 2008, encouraging training advisors how to talk to their clients about Social Security and then giving them all the tools to do it. Back then, we kicked off this idea of 10,000 baby boomers a day. But what we see now is that, of course, during the very long baby boom, 1946 to 1963, 64, which is really 2 generations, the tail end of the boom, the births started to peak around those people born, I think maybe 1956, 57, and it goes through to like maybe 60, 61. Births are getting up well above 10,000 per day. Like it peaks at above 12,000 per day. 12,000 per day versus 10,000 per day is a market that is 20% larger. So this whole opportunity of positioning yourself as a financial educator and in front of a big demographic trend, pre-retirees, boomer pre-retirees, it's greater now than ever before. So just because you've been hearing a lot about it for a long time, don't think that it is passé or no longer a meaningful trend. This is a serious trend that presents you with great opportunities to continue to grow your business, because these boomers want to know about Social Security. And in another year or two, it's going to be the leading edge Gen Xers that are going to want to also know about it. Those people who are like turning 55 or so, that's when they start thinking about Social Security. So I think that does it for us today. And, keep on marketing. That's what we do here. That's why we have a meeting with you virtually like this every month, setting the table for you. People who are master members or advisor client members, we give very specific directions on what they should be doing. And so I just want to tell everybody, keep the marketing activities going, because you put out the energy, you put out the information into your community, and it leads to things that come back to you. And that leads to conversations, meetings, and new business. So good luck, everybody, with your March planning. Be sure to contact us if you have any questions. And otherwise,